One of the many weird things about me is that I like to know the outcome of a sporting event before I watch it. If you are a big sports fan like I am not, I am sure you face the dilemma of whether or not you want to know who won before you watch the game. In these days of DVR, it's easy to delay the gratification of watching the game and then discovering who won after you watched it, maybe even the next day. But then people like Gary Brown come along and say, "Can you believe the Cardinals lost yesterday?" And then you get all upset because I spilled the beans and ruined your game. You chose to be in suspense for another day or a few more hours so that you could enjoy the excitement and the terror of the moment of a close game or a big win or the discouragement of a big loss. I, on the other hand, if I'm going to watch a game, I much prefer to know the outcome ahead of time. I hate the tension. I don't want to feel something watching that game that most people take medication to not feel. I don't like sitting on the edge of my seat, clenching my teeth, gripping the armrest. I much prefer the peace and the relaxation that comes from knowing who won ahead of time. And then I can still enjoy the good and powerful plays along the way, because I know who wins. Like when they show the highlights on the news hours after the contest. Even the strikeouts, even the fumbles that would make me cringe in the moment and tighten up on the inside are softened because I know it's not the end of the world. The end of the world. Each one of those moments is not the end of the world, but will become just a part of the game that we will win in the end. I felt the same way about the Olympics last summer, holding my breath, hoping we would catch the gold again. I feel the same way watching the basketball games of Washington University, or the track, or the volleyball, or the soccer games. It's like sitting on the edge. It's gripping, and I don't enjoy a whole lot feeling that about what's going to happen. Are we going to lose? I was talking about this just last night at an earlier dinner, and somebody said, "Well, what's the homily going to be about tomorrow?" And I said, "Well, I can't tell you, but then I can tell you the gospel question." And she was quick to answer what's weird about me. But when I did spill some of the beans after my second glass of wine, she said to me, "You know, it's not really totally weird, because when my mom lived in St. Louis and I was working in San Francisco, I would call my mom just after Dancing with the Stars and find out who won, and then I would watch it in San Francisco, and it was so much fun." I get it. I hate the tension I feel in those jawbreaker moments. If we know our team won the game, it very much influences how we watch it. If our team fumbles the ball or throws the football and it gets whatever they call it all. It's not a big deal to me. It's really not a big deal. That's not bad, because I know everything's sort of under control in the end. I know how it all ends. I know we're going to win. It's a great feeling to know that no matter how bad the game may look in the moment, your team is going to turn around and win. Or that even though we lost the game in the end, we will win the series in the end. You can rise above the stress and tensions of the moment, the bad plays in the moment, if you know how the game's going to end. Speaking of the end of the world, In this gospel you just heard from Mark, which is part of the apocalyptic literature of the Bible, they call it, in very vivid terms, it describes the last days, the end of planet Earth and our own. Some people get a chill just thinking about it, about the possibility of the end of this beautiful world, or this second coming of Christ in judgment. Panic even. Listen to how Mark describes it in just a few verses. In those times, after the time of distress, the sun will be darkened, the moon will lose its brightness, the stars will come falling from heaven, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. And then you will see the truly human one, the Son of Man, the truly human one, humanity at its brightest, coming in the clouds with great power and glory. Then too he will send the angels to gather his chosen from the four winds, from the ends of the world to the ends of the heavens. Heaven and earth will pass away. This generation will pass away. But my promise will not pass away. But as for that day or hour, nobody knows. Neither the angels in heaven nor the Son. Nobody knows when this is going to happen but the Father. So let me be clear. There's nothing in the Bible, nothing, or in the history of Christian tradition that ever supports the view of being able to predict the end of the world. Nothing. Yet there are many passages in the Bible that tell us how it will end. That we should prepare for the end, our own and the end of the world. We certainly do not want to speed it up, but we can prepare for it when it comes. A woman tells of sitting in church with her family, listening attentively to the sermon. At one point, the pastor asked the congregation, "What preparation do we need for the final crisis?" And her little grandson whispered loudly, "Preparation H." He might be a smart kid. But to prepare for this someday crisis, we need way more than Preparation H. And by the way, that kid stays up way too late at night watching television. So let me be clear again. We cannot know the future. That is vitally important for us to realize, lest we be led astray in our anxieties. I doubt that there are many scriptural truths that are more sure than this one. We cannot know the future, the next hour, the next year, at the end. But we can prepare for our future. And we can enjoy this moment in a whole different way. Because the one thing we know and we can trust is how it will all end. The fact that it ends with us winning. And since we cannot know the future, we cannot control the future. But we can control how we will live in the present moment. God does not give us all the answers about the future. If we will marry, who we will marry, what will be our vocation. But God always offers us a credible opportunity to follow him in the present moment, to be one with him in the present moment. This is our chief comfort and strength. God knows. Rather than wallowing in speculation or fear, we can focus on the good around us, and the good inside of us, and the good we can do. Our future is in the hands of the mystery that is God. And really, truly, there's nothing to be afraid of, even though it's totally understandable to be afraid. the truth is there's nothing to be afraid of. And we don't have to get so upset then when we or one of our leaders or one of our family or one of our friends fail, disappoint us, hurt our feelings. We don't have to get so upset because we know how it all ends. And so we can continue to do good and to light up the world, even if it's as simple as a smile. We can go smiling through this world because we know that the present circumstance, as disturbing as it is not the end. And the end is good. The end is good. I did a wedding a few weeks ago up in the mountains, down in the valley. I was noticing, walking along the trails in the valley, I have no idea where that car that just passed me is going, because I can't see to the other side of that bend just there in front of me, nor does he or she driving that car. But I noticed later in the day when I took that trail to the top and looked down on the same place, I could see before the driver in that car sees it, what he or she will see or encounter up ahead of them. I can see it because of my vantage point, what's stretching out before that driver. God doesn't drive the man's car. God is like someone sitting at the top of the mountain, seeing where it's all going, working in the midst of everything to help it get there, and knowing where it's all going to end. Maybe a better way to say it than that analogy would be to say that God doesn't know the future. God is the future. God is the one who holds the past, the present, and the future in the instant. And that's why we can trust that all things will be all right. Again, and I've quoted this 3 times probably in the last 2 months. St. Julian of Norwich wrote, and it falls for us to trust, all is well, and all shall be well, and every manner of things will be well. So she said in the clarity of vision, united with her God in our future. It's all going to be all right. How many parents have said that to their kids when they came screaming to them with scraped knees or concussions? It's all going to be okay. You're so God in that moment for your kids, and I hope for yourself when you hear yourself saying it. You're so God when you say it's going to be okay. No matter how horrible the circumstances can be, and things have been looking pretty horrible these last months, at the end of time, God wins. Love wins. Love wins over the forces of evil and liberates, redeems, sets free humanity from brokenness and from suffering. You and I, we've got to get this right. Faith is trust, and trusting that in this world and the next, God is always getting us all together to where we need to be. God is always getting us all together to where we need to be. It may seem anything but that in the moment, but let me assure you, based on 3,000 years of people seeking and finding the divine, it is just the truth. So that in the end, the words of Paul, in the end, and these words had a profound effect on me the first time I studied them in college. In the end, God will be all in all. That's where it's all going. Your life and mine and ours and the generations upon generation, that's where it's all going, towards God, the mystery of love being all in all. Can you let yourself trust that that is the truth? So you see, my friends, your team's already won. Now you can sit back and watch all the bad plays and all the good plays, delight in it all, and not hold your breath. Hold your breath in that moment, or in the rest of your life, hold your breath, because you know how all this is going to end. And so you can sit back and you can pour yourself a beer and you can enjoy the play-by-play that leaps to that win. Call me crazy, but that's how I like to watch sports. That way I don't have to leave the room when the going gets tough. And that is what I love about being a follower of Jesus. With these kinds of teachings like we get just here this Sunday morning of the church year. That's what I love about being a follower of Jesus. It sure would reduce the despair I see in the world if we could trust the final score, and it would put in check the anger and the violence of the way we respond to each other verbally and otherwise, because we know where this is all going, the final score he promised. And maybe so many would not leave the room when the going gets tough by numbing themselves through drugs or other distractions, or even suicide. The ultimate way to leave the room because we can't handle the moment anymore. We could learn, you and I, we could learn to let the world be what it is and be confident how it all ends. Spoiler alert. I hate to ruin the game of life for you by telling you today how it all ends. But we